Hello, and welcome to this new episode of the Human Side of Business podcast. This time, we're going to shift away a little bit from the soft skills discussions because we want to present to you our launching of our new website. In this episode, we're going to have some interviews with George, our board member in charge of this project, and with our providers. And you'll see all the process from the new positioning all the way to the finished product. I'm sure you're going to find also some quite interesting insights on collaboration and teamwork. Please enjoy and don't forget to subscribe, to like, and also to visit our new website. Okay, so now we are here with George, the owner of this project of the website, who has been also working a lot with all our providers who you'll see the interviews with. And first, George, welcome and thank you for being here. I would like for you to tell us a little bit about how this started. How this did something about a website that seems a little bit small became such a big project like we have now in Dynargie.
Well, thank you for giving me the opportunity to tell the story of something that was born, something that today is quite normal and usual, which is a website. But uh, I, I think the story of what happened behind the scenes is probably the most interesting part, and it gives also certain kind of aftermaths, which are not about the website itself, but but about us and our clients. So this is the taste that is left after such an endeavor, because there's a lot of soul searching when you are trying to create a medium, actually something that could constantly broadcasts all around the world how people should see you. What is the angle? How do you get their attention by exposing what you can do for them? And this soul searching was a very interesting project because it started, actually, it was the beginning of a need, of an operational need. We needed to update our website. We needed to do new things. Technology had advanced. The look and feel, the aesthetics, everything has changed. And we needed for us and for all our offices, to create a new way to communicate. So that was an operational need. But when we started asking ourselves, how are we going to do that? What are we going to say? What is the message we're going to send? We realized that we needed a much deeper debate and a much deeper um, introspection, but also looking at what the clients needed and from us and how the clients saw us. Because sometimes, we have internal dialogues in the companies. We see that in our clients as well. And they become so strong, so vivid for all the right reasons. But then you go outside and you see that what you are broadcasting is not necessarily received the way you have imagined it. So we started even 2.5 years ago with a positioning exercise, trying to see what is the message, how people see us on the mirror, try to see who we are. And this was a very intense, difficult, and revealing. And once we digested, because it took some time to digest the conclusions of, we decided what our positioning should be, and then the website was the natural consequence of that. So it was another creative way for sure, but we already had an intention, and that made a number of dilemmas along the way of creating the website, choices easier than it would have been if we didn't have this intention to guide us and to make us decide with more certainty which way to go. So this is the big picture of the project that took longer than we thought, but it brought more, I would say, serenity inside, and from the first reactions also bigger impact than we thought also.
And we are now with Nikos, who has helped us a lot with the positioning since this very beginning of this story. So, welcome, Nikos. Thank you for your time. Would you like to introduce yourself to the audience and tell us a little bit what was your part in this process?
Hi, Mike. Very pleased to be here with you. And it's my sheer pleasure to kind of share our journey together with Dynargie. I'm Nikos Kalaskanis. I'm a brand and marketing consultant. This is what I do. And in the last 3, 4 years, I've been working on my own, helping organizations and businesses to discover and communicate their greatness to the world. This is how I frame what I do. My kind of scope of work for this project is actually to do a deep dive in order to define the global brand strategy of Dynargie. And this is something that came about as a strong strategic need just right before the decision was made that the brand needs to have a kind of a global website that's going to be revamped. So it was high time then to define what Dynargie stands for in the world, how it wants to present itself, what's the high level vision that they want to communicate, what's the positioning of the brand, and to put all this into a coherent, powerful, and authentic narrative that will really make the brand shine and come through, because it's a great brand and a great company, and this is my experience from actually working for several months for this project.
One quick question that just sparked my curiosity: have you met Dynargie before this project? Were you some? Did you know about Dynargie before involving into this position?
I knew them here in Greece by reputation, because they have a great reputation as the leadership consultants and behavioral architects, in the sense of actually changing behaviors of people and teams. And but I have never met them in the flesh, or I have never been in a kind of training situation or collaboration with them. But I had clients that worked with Dynargie. They used Dynargie as their leadership consultant in several teams with great feedback.
Maybe later you can experience now a seminar from the inside. So Nikos, one question. Probably if I ask this to bonding, they have it. I don't know, maybe very clear or maybe not as clear. But why do you think this was the right moment for Dynargie to start a new positioning? What made it clear to that we had to do something different?
I think that there are several things. One is that Dynargie is a company that already had more than 40 years in the market of proven impact. But at the same time, the market moved faster, became more global, became more fragmented, became more complex. And this was very much the impact of the post-COVID world that we all lived and we still live, the repercussions of it. And in the process, what has changed is that soft skills have become a central part, a central component to the transformation of organization. It's not any longer something that's secondary. It's not something that is nice to have. It's becoming business critical, as we say. So it's high time for Dynargie, because this is exactly what Dynargie does, to actually claim its fair perceptual share of this new situation. The other thing is that, as a direct result of the first one, is that the clients started asking for more, started asking for things that go beyond training and move into consulting, started becoming more strategic, started talking about business transformation and not just trainings, started talking more about behavioral changes that stick and not just something that is one off, which really indicates again that the market is changing. So it was really the whole challenge was reframing, in a sense, Dynargie's relevance in a world when human dynamics become the center and the heart of business performance. So it was great timing, I think.
And it's funny the way you mentioned, because you talk about a lot about the human side of it, and as I can move my face, we know we are in the human side of business, and and it for me it was quite surprising us being in the human side of business, having a positioning and even a site that didn't show the human side of it. Especially our site was like reading a boring book. Let me say it like that,
Hmm.
because and
Hmm.
it was a
Hmm.
hard book because you had to travel a lot to find what you were looking for. And now what you mentioned
Hmm.
is not only the market and the world changed after COVID, as you said, but we were already on that idea that the human center was there,
Yes,
but we were not able
yes.
to communicate it. So this is really interesting what you're mentioning.
It became very clear in the stakeholder and the customer interviews that I conducted for this project that I mean, as a line and as a potential emotional differentiator, the human side of business is very powerful, was seen as relevant and timely. But the interesting thing is that at this point, and your point on the website is very correct, it didn't come forth as a concrete narrative, as a strategic edge, but mostly as a phrase that we use to describe the ethos of Dynargie. So we had to build the story that makes this ethos powerful. But as you say, it's for me, it was one of these magic coincidences, or if you like me to put it in a different way, there are some companies that from the beginning foundationally do things right. And when you do these things right foundationally, what you have to do is you to adapt your authenticity and your authentic truth to the way that the world changes. But if the core is strong, uh, the core is resilient. And this is one of these cases that became very obvious to me the more I was digging inside, what Dynargie is, what it stands for, how it does things, and so on and so forth.
Yeah, and I think you connect your answer with what I was gonna ask later, that it goes with about the storytelling about these core aspects you're talking about. What would you say were some
Mm.
of these guiding principles that you knew you had to keep while building the new Dynargie story?
I was very fortunate because this is not always the case. What I usually do, and not only me, it's a standard practice when you go into the process of rediscovering or discovering an organization to do strategies, you do lots of stakeholder interviews to understand things from the inside. Uh, Dynergy is one of these organizations that, because of the culture, but also the quality of its people, uh, the people are by default very strategically, they are very strategic in their thinking by default, which is not usual. Uh, and also in themselves, they know very well what the strengths of the brand are. And this was immensely helpful in me in helping me craft in a very sharp and in a very clear way what the energy is, you know. And for me, the most one of the key elements of the energy is this magic combination of in a culture of being by default human centered, because this is what you do. You work in soft skills, in how people learn to lead, learn to grow, learn to collaborate, which is a human aspect of business. But doing that in a very structured, behavior focused, uh, elaborate way. And I'm saying this because there are two edges that happen very often in the context of leadership consulting, but not only there. One edge is that you risk being very fluffy, if you want me to put it that way,
Mm.
which is like people are good, let's talk about values, you will do this, you will, like going to the church, and then when you move out of the church, everything stays business as usual. I mean, 2 weeks after the training, nothing
Yeah.
happens. But the energy is not there because the energy has this magic thing of combining thinking with action and actually giving you very pragmatic ways to translate the culture through everyday behaviors, which is really how it should be. And the other side of the spectrum is to be so consultative and and a technocrat, if you like, that you miss the human element completely, and people become spreadsheets. So I think it's this sweet spot that Dynargie covers very well, that we wanted to capture in the best way possible in the way that we repositioned and we reframed the brand narrative.
Nikos, I will take you to my sales meetings because you just described energy in a really magic way. No, it's quite nice to hear from outsiders this perception of our company, and as you said, I think this effort of the new positioning is the way of actually communicating this because uh, we knew this from the inside, like we discussed in our academies, and we knew what you just mentioned was our like our essence, but we didn't know how to put it out there. And even I remember when I met Dynargie 10 years ago, and we were flirting with Joao to open Mexico's office. We were like, we don't really understand what you do, what you are, what you by seeing your site, by the few talks we had. And moving now, and this is really important, your inputs here were really important for this input, was moving now from the impact that Dynargie does. And before we were talking about who we were, but now moving to the impact, for me was like the main difference that we did there. What could you talk about that specifically?
I think what we had to do, that I mean, we had to empower Dynargie by opening a strategic way and creating a narrative that we can own, that will enable Dynargie to have the best positive impact that it can have. And this means basically three things in the way we position ourselves in the world. And this is something that we deliberately did strategically because, as you say, this is something that we internally know, but we just need the narrative, the tools, and the enablers in order to do it, more properly and more consistently. The one thing is to shift our positioning from a proposition that relies very much on the legacy and on the history of the brand towards a narrative that is more top-down, future-facing, that is built on vision, on relevance, on differentiation. So it's not about us being 40 years in the market and doing this, which is credential. It's about us having a strong conviction, a strong understanding and insight of how business is or should be in the modern world, and we are there to enable it. This was a key shift. The second shift that comes out of the first is that actually, because of that, reframing Dynargie from a training provider to a consultative global partner. So we're not somebody that does local trainings. We do that, but we're not only that. We're much more than that. We are a consultative global partner in behavioral change. That's what we are, and that's what we do. And mindset and behaviors are strategic levers for business performance. This is our conviction. This is what we do, and this is how we show up in the world. So in a sense, it's about shifting the focus, and it's no longer about what Dynargie has done, but it's about what it helps organizations become. This is the shift. This is the kind of way that we.
No, and as I said, you've made a quite an impact. Talking about impact, quite an impact in the Dynargie consultants. There's a whole new narrative, not only from the side that for us was really important. That was like the thing we want to put out there. But if you see now our proposals, if you see now the way we even present Dynargie while we're in the classroom, the way we present ourselves, and the way we construct with the clients on our sales meetings, it has been a quite change there because we saw the importance of what you made us look at, like like you really opened our eyes. And again, this is no pun intended with our site that has the eyes there. You really opened our eyes with this because it has been like a new chapter in our lives, as I said, in the whole aspects of the way Dynargie conducts themselves in front of the client and internally. Uh, one question I would like to ask you about, and maybe this is, and I think you already answered in several moments of your answers and of the insights you shared with us, But being more specifically, what do you think this new vision will shape our way in front of the clients? I know that probably the ones that already know us, nothing will change
Mm-hmm.
much. They already know how we
Mm-hmm.
are. They already live this core of Dynargie. But
Mm-hmm.
specifically for those that might be doubting if they want to collaborate with us, or those who are gonna know us for the first time, how does this impact their vision of us?
I think the most important thing is that we we want them and we appear in front of them as a strategic partner that knows knows the human side of the business transformation and knows that mindset and behavior are strategic levers of business performance. So we are not just service providers, we are strategic partners of human transformation that leads to business growth. That's the most important thing that we want them to understand. And I believe and I feel that what you just described about how you're changing your proposals and your pitch and the language you use, it's towards that direction, because this is what we aimed for. And I think it's a great place to be. It's a demanding place to be. Uh, Not anyone can be there. You have to be Dynargie. You have to have the senior people with a depth of experience, the power of the network, the robust methodologies, the deep client pool to be able to position yourself as a consultant. But Dynargie is, I mean, it's more than ever, I think, willing and able to do that, and to do that more consistently in a global context. Because one of the other findings of of my exploration was that within markets, people tend to see the energy as a local organization that has also some international partners. We want to cast a light to the fact that we are a global organization, that we have global capabilities and global people in place that we can mobilize according to needs. So these are the two key pivots, if you like me, the the strategic partner thing and the globalization, the ability to mobilize at the global scale.
Yeah, and for me, you mentioned two things that are really important for us as a network, because smaller operations like the ones we have here in Mexico know that Greece operation, for example, the Portugal operation, they have all this
Mm-hmm.
exposition. They are in these talks. They are like receiving these prizes, etc., etc. And we're like, why is something like that not that happens just because you're from Mexico and I will give you work, but like
Mm-hmm.
making this like we are the whole company, that we get together every 6 months, we are all together collaborating together every day. So,
Mm-hmm.
and it was like, why do they feel so local? So for me, again, I completely agree with this. And also one thing about the transformation you were mentioning is what I really like, connecting to the impact, is that now the customer can look at their needs, what is hurting, before knowing if it's with us or not with us, but they know what hurts. They don't know what they
Mm-hmm.
need. And before, we were thinking that they already knew what they need, and we were putting all
Mm-hmm.
our products there, and it was not working. So I completely agree with these two insights you just heard. Just for me to conclude, I would like to ask maybe more personal in a way question. What is the thing you like are most proud of about this whole process? Like, what does Nikos take from this whole process with the energy and the final result and everything?
For me, it was a very, very rewarding experience, and I take several things. One thing I definitely take is the really rich conversations I had with the energy stakeholders and their customers, um, which is I've been fortunate enough to collaborate and do, not only because they were helpful for what I was trying to do, but they were illuminating for a person that is involved in business and gets a very deep insight of how leadership transformation works. So I was telling to someone, take me to a leadership consulting seminar, take me with you. I just want to see the So one thing is that. The second thing is that as a person, because I have a background in humanities, I'm a sociologist by training and then communication expert. I have a deep interest in people communication, and I think this whole thing that you do, very much about human communication, human interaction. So it was a personal interest of mine that made it very very rewarding as well and very illuminating. And the third thing is that I realized from the conversations, from the way that the project was going from stage to stage, and from the kind of impact and discussions that we had after the presentations of the strategy, uh, that I managed to capture what I was thinking was the most important thing to capture. Because when you enter an organization, you go in, you discover, and then you go out and strategize, and then you come back in and you say, this is who you are. And there are cases, that people do not recognize, or you have focused on the wrong things or whatever. But I mean, I felt, and this is my biggest reward, that as you said before, that people felt that I got you, and that I made justice in reflecting who you are in the best possible way. And this is, I mean, for me, it's hugely rewarding.
And you had a challenge there because in dinner you had different cultures, different ages,
Yes.
different
Hmm.
gaps, different everything.
Hmm.
So I
Hmm.
remember the meetings in the academies and you in the big screen there talking, and the talks, the conversations we had after those sessions. Most of us were like, damn, we have been for 40 plus years doing things wrong, so yeah, it was quite a challenge, but I think you achieve it quite successfully. Yeah.
I think it's been a pleasure. It's been a great pleasure. And I'm very happy with the website because it looks good.
Yeah, and it tells the story also that with all the work you did, it was a good way of putting it there. So Nikos, we're about to conclude. Just I would like to ask you if you had anything to say to the audience, anything to say to Dynargie consultants that are going to be seeing this, or if you want to put a message out there in the world, also feel free. This is your space.
Thank you. I think the final comment would not be about the brand or about how the world sees us, but more about how we see ourselves. And this is the most important thing, because what I want to happen and what makes things really authentic and real is when what you do helps people understand what the story, what they're doing, and give them a shared sense of vision and ambition. You know, it's like owning your story. What Dynargie does is significant. It's important. It has a strong impact in the business world. It's not just selling trainings. It's much more than that. And I mean, for me, the most important thing is owning your story. You, as people, as consultants, as collaborators, as partners. And if you do that, I mean, the sky is the limit, I believe.
No, thank you so much, Nikos. As I said before to the audience, the links to the sites of our providers will be on the description. So you already know they can work on global projects. So you can ring them there and see
Thank you.
what they can help to tell your own story. And again, thank you, Nikos, for being with us. It's been a pleasure. It's been my pleasure to talk to you and to learn more about everything. So to say thank you again for this space.
Thank you very much, Mike.
Now I would like to jump into the concept after the positioning. How do we create that position that is also ambitious, as you said, ambitious in the way that it shaped almost our future for Dynargie, but then bringing it back to the website. How did that go?
Well, we had an instinct that to connect positioning with something like a website, which again is a constant broadcast of who we are, also sometimes who we would like to be, who we aspire to be, that is. So we were missing some links, and therefore we created a process. And the process looked like this. We needed somebody, like we do with our proposals to our clients, to synthesize all the messages, all the intentions, all the nuances of who we are in a way that is conceivable, at least sensed by the clients, even before consciously they read content. So we call that step or ingredient a concept. So we decided to work with a specific and separate provider to help us create a concept before we even think about layout, we think about technologies, before we thought about everything else. So this was the first ingredient. The second one was the process of going from the concept to a specific user experience that will constantly convey the message of the concept. This was a very complex operation, and we had another provider with a lot of experience and a tenacity to challenge us to look things from user experience perspective and not uh, do what we normally do in our business, because we have a habit to create ideas, convey them in our trainings, in our workshops. So that means also we have content. So there was a fight, a creative fight. How do we strike the balance? And the third element after this was to try to connect positioning with a website was execution. So you can have a very good concept, even an ambitious one, and it was one. You can have a very thoughtful user experience navigating the user through the different steps of your messaging, so they can understand exactly how we do and what we do and why we do. But if you don't translate it to a well-performing and accurate depiction at the execution level, then you don't have the impact, right? Until that day, you don't create. It's all intention without an impact. So we had another provider that helped us a lot quickly and in a very good project management skill way, which is not usual, but they were able to convey the product of the concept and the user experience to a well-performing website today.
And I wouldn't want to give a lot of information to our viewers. I want them to go and see the website. But there's something about the senses there. How do we make something so stiff and so technological that like a website go into something so human, especially as we say in our slogan, we are the human side of business. How did you manage that?
Oh, it was one of the most difficult things to reconcile. Not because we have not done it before, but every era that you try to revisit this question, we have something that reveals new questions and new answers. In fact, this question, this reconciliation, if you like, or combination, it's not only about, we think about it, as you also know, a lot, because we are the advocates of the human side of things. Because without the human dimension, um, a lot of things, a lot of tools, a lot of technologies lose meaning. And I think this human side of is today, with the rise of AI, in the center of a lot of not only business discussions, but also social and the impact on society. And we are accustomed to make these kind of discussions because this is what we have been doing since the birth of Dynargie back in 1982. We are trying to combine energy and dynamism of humans with the business needs, the business constraints, the business necessities, and to try to smooth out and have an environment, whether it is within a team or within a whole company, combination of engagement and productivity. Because if you combine the two, you have what we call happy environment to be in. Uh, in this case, combining the human side and the technology medium was probably the key question we had to answer in the first step of designing a concept. And that's why we decided to look at it separately from the rest of the process. So we were looking, the best way to combine, or at least not to lose the humanity in which is the purpose of almost everything, was to see how what's the purpose of Dynargie, and what do we give today, not only to companies, but to each participant individually. And the concept, as you said, like our viewers to visit and see what it is, um, gave us an interesting way to um, to convey this humanity, um, these senses that we makes us separate from a lot of other um, stakeholders in our society, including technology, makes us different. So the senses that we have and we experience the world, our communications, our daily life, our families, was the key to resolving this, if you like, dilemma as you presented it. Okay, so it's the human senses of experiencing the world, and then our brain processing that and broadcasting again back to the world was the key to combine the human side of and a technological medium.
And I was able to live a little bit through the academies, all this challenge. I know there were plenty more hours behind that. Probably instead of a challenge, sometimes it felt like a struggle. When was this like moment you realized, oh, now we have a concept, now this is solid, now we have something to put there in the website?
Ah, um, I think there were two or three moments rather than one moment. And often I think that this eureka or this feeling, it happens in a moment, but it's incubating before in a series of small moments. So I think um, I just I remember, probably I'm missing details there. There were two moments where um, I thought we made a breakthrough. One was two words in this. One already mentioned the five senses, because we tested a lot of concepts, trying to see how we will bridge this tech medium with the human side off. And we were testing very good concepts, trying to see what they are, what they convey, what they exclude, because every concept communicates a message. But if this is clear, it means it excludes others. And that's fine, right? Because it means it has a personality. Now, having this um, as a criteria, we liked a number of projects, but when we saw the five senses as a concept to convey what we do, why we do, and how we do, because it actually speaks on how we do things. I challenge our viewers to visit and see if and how the five senses tell the story of how we as a company try to tackle problems, opportunities for and with our clients. And, and these five senses immediately created that aha moment that, oh, probably here we have something that could tell the story in exactly the same way as we live it every day, with all the pleasures and the sorrows of everyday work, and probably also what the clients feel with us when we help them to progress. And the second moment was, I think, one of our colleagues in our discussion mentioned the word development. Because a lot of times in our business, we have individuals, teams, and companies um, um, transform, become better, or even sometimes make some incremental improvements that they need at the always mindset and behavioral level. But I think in the end, what is common between all these ambitions is that we develop. We build on the past. Sometimes we unlearn things and then relearn or learn new things. And this is a constant human development. And when we understood that word, although it's a common word in our field, we felt that we needed to be part of this messaging. And development, I hope also is vivid in the website, became another aha moment that if we can, and our website can show with technology and the use of technology, the evolution of not just the static states of human professionals, but the dynamic aspect, which is also part of our name, Dynargie, right? The Dyn is the dynamic aspect. It's really conveying something useful for participants and clients and something meaningful for us.
Now, then I remember when you presented this concept to us in one of the academies. How did you feel the network reacted to this concept? Because as you see, the whole process probably for you was really clear. Where did everything fall and how everything was created and stuff. But then when you presented to people that were not inside of this process, how did you feel about that?
It's difficult, and to be very honest and frank, to distinguish between what I was feeling in my own head at the moment, how I felt about myself communicating the message, and the message itself, and vis-a-vis how others saw that. So um, I'll try to do my best to convey the message I got from the audience. Not only during, but also during the breaks and during the discussions. Um, my surprise in people's reaction was consultants were mostly quiet. And this is very difficult for a consultant. Those that they know what I mean, they understand. And it's difficult because it's difficult for the consultant to stay quiet, but it's also difficult. It was difficult for me to interpret. Um, and it was the good quiet, luckily. It was not the bad one. I think we had voices of real surprise, and this is normally good because we need to get the attention of our own people to start with, and then if it is to hope that we get the attention of our clients and viewers and participants. And the second was um, um, very positive reaction on the aesthetic part of it and the conveying part of it. We also had analytical minds looking at details immediately, looking at potential problems immediately, looking at different ways to read the same message. So that was also very useful, although it's not very motivating, in all honesty, when you are presenting an idea, but it's very useful because it makes you, if you make the ideas collide, you discover new ways of combining needs. And that means your website, although maintains a personality, it's a personality that does not exclude other personalities. So that I think this was the very useful and first reaction from internal community, right? Our consultants. And one thing that I would like to say that surprised me the most from the reaction was not so much what happened when they first heard it or they first saw it, to be more correct. I think the best thing happened after a few months weeks and months that people grew into this kind of concept and communication, and they understood, like any good movie or any good even an ad in the TV or in the YouTube, you see it again and again, and you see layers of the messaging appearing that were not there when you first saw it. So although I don't think that our viewers will come many times a day, although they may, but if they come and every time they see or feel something different or additional, I think this is built to last. So that was for me the most um, the most surprising and the most rewarding aspect.